morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Warren, and I am the mayor for the city of Stanton. I am pleased to welcome all of you to the 8th Annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. This morning, our invocation will be given by the Most Reverend Kevin Vann, the Bishop of Orange. Bishop?
Dear brothers and sisters and friends in the Lord, in what is called the Liturgy of the Hours of the Roman Catholic liturgy, there are some words from the letter to the Hebrews that are always found at the beginning of every day. It is said, encourage each other daily while it is still today. Community prayer breakfasts such as this, when we gather at the beginning of the day, in this time of the year, this Lenten season and spring season, are indeed a time for us to encourage one another. As we gather and pray this morning, we do in fact encourage each other for the good of our community here in Stanton. This then becomes a blessing for us and for the common good. As we ask God's blessing upon our food, our gathering, our community, and our friend Bishop Soto, we now recall the words of Psalm 143, which is also in the liturgy hours for today. It says, in the morning let me know your love, for I put my trust in you. Make me know the way I should walk, for to you I lift up my soul. Almighty and merciful God, we thank you for this new day and this time together. Bless our food, our gathering, the city of Stanton this day, all our elected officials. As we are grateful for Bishop Soto's presence here today, bless his ministry and family always. And help us each day know the way we should walk in good and truth and peace. Bless us always, bless our food, and keep us in your care this day. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Vann. Now I'd like to have the presentation of the colors by the Orange County Sheriff's Explorer Guard. Please stand. And we would like to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Sophia Hagerman, a 7th grader from St. Polycarp Catholic Church. Please come up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'd like to have the singing of the national anthem.
Stars
Thank you, Orange County Sheriff's Explorer Guard, under the direction of Explorer Captain Cody Carpenter. And thank you, St. Polycarp Catholic School Choir. Everyone, please be seated. I would like to thank our sponsors that made this morning possible. We had Frontier Real Estate Investments, California Motors Direct, Care Ambulance, and Brandywine Homes. And if we could, we have several visiting dignitaries this morning. If they could please stand for recognition. Okay. There we go. Means a lot to me. I'm the mayor of Stanton this year. I've lived in Stanton for a really long time. In fact, 3 generations of my family have lived in Stanton. We've seen many things happen throughout the city over the years. We used to go to Mary Pickford's Theater on Beach Boulevard. In fact, we watched Le Mans there in 1970. In the 80s, the old Stanton PD and Stanton Fire used to park in the big shade trees in front of our house and write their reports. We were the safest house in Stanton, and we never were going to touch those shade trees. Over the years, we watched the horse ranches and the farms slowly disappear, and we watched Stanton grow. And it was really something to see. And as Stanton continued to grow with more development and more business, that's when I wanted to become involved with the city of Stanton. We're truly a small town in Orange County, and in fact, we're one of the smallest cities in Orange County, but we're definitely the most innovative. The Orange County Register called us scrappy, and I think we are. And we've proven it over and over again. When the recession hit, we had a structural budget deficit, and we tried everything we could to fix it. We scrimped and saved every penny we could, but we called upon our citizens as well and asked them to work with us to try to get through this crisis. And they came forward, and just like Stanton always does, and we shut down the front of our police department to save money. We opened it right back up with volunteers out of the city. We had citizens volunteering to mow our parks. Any way we could save money and make that budget work, we tried. And the budget couldn't work. No matter what we did, the structural deficit was too tough. And so we called upon the citizens of Stanton for a 1-cent sales tax to help pay for our police and fire. Their costs are rising as everything else is now, and we just weren't going to make it work without it. And citizens of Stanton came forward again. This is an incredible group of people here, and they approved the 1-cent local sales tax. And then we had a group of people from outside Stanton come in and say, no, we don't think that you deserve a 1-cent sales tax for your police and fire. And our citizens turned around again and rose up and said, no, we deserve good police and fire. And they approved it again. So we have quite a group of people in our city, and we're very lucky to have them. We've learned how to stretch a dollar through all of this, and we've gotten pretty good at acquiring grants. One of those grants helped us build our incredible award-winning 11.5-acre Stanton Central Park. If you haven't been there, go. It's lovely. To maintain the park, we decided the idea of public-private partnerships. And thanks to 2 wonderful businesses in our city, the maintenance of that park is paid for the next quarter century. Our city council agrees to disagree, as any city council should, but we also work together really, really well. I would like to introduce our Stanton City Council. We have Mayor Pro Tem Dave Shaver. You guys don't have to get up. You just wave. I have Mayor Pro Tem Dave Shaver. Councilman Brian Donahue. Councilman Rigoberto Ramirez. And Councilman Al Ethans. We really have an incredible group of people that has been able to make everything that Stanton has to offer work. And I'd like to introduce our city manager, Jim Box. He is now a celebrity in Orange County because the Orange County Register named him as one of Orange County's 100 most influential citizens in 2016. And then our Stanton City staff. Because of them, anything is possible in the city of Stanton. They work off hours, they work weekends, they do what we need to have done, and we can't thank them enough. So our city staff, if any of you are here, please wave. This time I'd like to introduce Councilman Brian Donahue and Chair of the Stanton Community Foundation. Brian?
Thank you. Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Nice to see everybody here. Excuse me. I think this is the biggest crowd we have, and I think that speaks well for the speaker. So, I appreciate it. My role is twofold, being council members one, the other is being the chair of the Community Foundation. We started that back in 2009, and we'd like to show you some of the things that we've done. The mayor told you that the city of Stanton is very small, and it is. We're just shy of 40,000 residents, and that is small. The foundation was formed back in 2009 to help improve and support the quality of life in this community. And we've done that. And we can see we've done it by the type of programs that we have for the people, and the people of Stanton have been blessed with all these programs. And we're going to show you about the next slide, please. 25% of the citizens of Stanton have been positively touched by the foundation's efforts. And I think that's marvelous when you think of that's over 10,000 people in the last several years. So we'll go to the first year of our operation. We tried to figure out what we're going to do to assist some of the young people in our schools. And we found that many of them did not have the finances to buy the simple little things that a kid should have to go to school, pencils, pads, etc. So we began our backpack program. And we were able to supply backpacks to several kids. And in the first year, 127 of these little guys and girls got a backpack. The following year, we moved to another program because of the funding that was in jeopardy. Many of the schools stopped after-school programs, so we pitched in and helped support the after-school athletic programs for the kids. So now we're up to about 800 residents. In the following year, in 2012, we moved on and we had the Threads for Kids, another issue where the parents of these students cannot afford to buy the sweatshirts that the schools have. Each school has a little hoodie with a mascot on it. Some kids just can't afford it. So we stepped in and we had those kids identified to us, and we purchased sweatshirts so that every kid would have one in the school. The next year, we added Santa Siren Express. That's been an ongoing process, but we decided let's give some bucks to those people because they buy a lot of toys to give out during the Christmas time. So we now support that foundation, which is the Youth Assistance Foundation. Now we're up to 6,000 residents that we're impacting. In 2014, we added 2 programs for senior citizens. We found that senior citizens have really a hard time when they go to the grocery store. They don't have a car, and they can't carry their groceries, so they wind up borrowing, if you will, the carts from the markets. So it's not a good thing. So we decided that why not buy them some little baskets, keep them in their apartment complex so they can check them out, go to the grocery store, fill them up, bring them home, leave them there, and the next person can use them. So that's our grocery cart program. We then found that many seniors don't have any exercise program for them because they can't walk or they're very immobile. So we have an exercise program. It's called chair exercise. They use a chair as their prop. They sit down, they do exercise, they stand up holding on to the chair for stability. And that's been very good. And the teacher of that program is 84 years old, so she's doing very well. So now we're up to 7,000 residents. The next year, 2015, we added the SOS program. This is a program called Supply Our Schools. It gives a teacher the opportunity to write for a grant if they wanted some innovative kind of teaching experience for their kids. They can buy equipment, they can take them on a field trip, they can buy books, they can do anything they want as long as it's something that is cool for the kids to do in a learning process. And as you probably know, a lot of teachers spend their own money in the classroom because they don't have the funds. So this gives them an opportunity to get us to look at their proposal, and we would then supply them the money so they can go out and get this stuff. And that's been very, very well received. So now we're up to 75, and in 2016, we kept these programs going, and we added more people. We're up to 84, and then we keep moving along. 10,000 as of right now, the number of people that we have impacted in the city of Stanton, and that is 1/4 of the population of Stanton. So we're very proud of what we're doing and want to keep going. And the reason we're able to do it is because of you people sitting here. You have been very generous to us, and we certainly appreciate that. So thank you all very much.
Good morning. I'm Al Leathens, council member of the city of Stanton. I had the privilege today of introducing Imader D. High School Chamber Singers under the direction of Mr. Justin Miller and Scott Melvin. Would you please come forward, gentlemen? Thank you.
There we are. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us here this morning. We are so honored to be here to honor Bishop Soto and all of you, and we wish you all of God's blessings throughout this year. We're going to sing a few songs for you. This is a truncated group of our singers. We usually have about 40 singers, but we just got back from Boston for a festival out there and a competition that I will humbly say they won. And yes. And so half of them are still in bed, mending illnesses, and half of them are in class because they've been gone for 5 days. So we hope you enjoy these little musical moments. This first piece is called Mata de la Anima Sola, and it's about this introspection into that alone time in the world between one man singing, and you'll hear that, Andrew Escada, one of our juniors. And then you'll hear the choir sounding like a guitar as he's sitting there playing under this tree and looking out into God's masterwork. So this is Mata de la Anima Sola.
Mata dell'anima sola, o queror, e cancollargo, ya podrás decir ahora, aquí durmió, anda claro. El silbo en la picada, la brisa soleadora. El silbo en la picada, la brisa soleadora. La tarde catimora, dentro del perro callada. La tarde catimora, dentro del perro callada. La noche llegó. Fakirul mio, kandakla. Il cibo da picada, la brisa cogliadora. Il cibo da picada, la brisa cogliadora. Batate catire mura, dentro al cuero callada. Batate catire mura, dentro al cuero callada.
That last piece, excuse me, was called "Sing Me to Heaven" by Daniel Gothrop. It's just a beautiful connection of from birth to life to death. That whole process of connecting us to a greater being. Now, this next song we're going to sing is "Way Over in Beulah Land," a good old spiritual by Stacy Gibbs. song we'll share with you is the traditional, "The Lord bless you and keep you." Thank you again for having us. We're excited to hear the bishop speak, and we wish you all the best in the rest of the year.
Before I introduce our speaker today, I would also like to introduce the other bishop that we have in the room today, because he's still going to be here when the other one goes back to Sacramento. Bishop Van, would you please stand up so we can recognize you? And I would be remiss if I don't introduce my pastor, Father Michael St. Paul. Please stand up. That'll get me out of confession for at least 2 weeks. Okay, my name's Dave Shaver, and I am the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Stanton, and I've lived here for about 45 years. And it's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker. He's a hometown boy, made good, and he's back with us. He also is very close to my family and close to all the families here in our city because he grew up in Stanton, went to school at St. Polycarp, graduated from Mater Dei High School. His education here locally taught him a lot about life. And he's carried that with him wherever he has gone, representing not only his community here, but the community of faith throughout California. He went to school at St. John's Seminary, where he got both a bachelor and master's degree, and was ordained to the priesthood on June 12th of 1982 for the Diocese of Orange. Later, he was appointed associate pastor at St. Joseph's in Santa Ana, and he went on to become the Episcopal Vicar of the Hispanic community on March of 1989 for the entire Diocese of Orange. The following year, Pope John Paul II named Reverend Soto a prelate of honor, and later the same year appointed Vicar of Charities for the Diocese of Orange. On March 31st of the year 2000, Bishop Soto had his Episcopal ordination. In October of 2007, Reverend Soto was appointed coadjutor bishop of Sacramento, and 2 years later, he became the Bishop of Sacramento. This morning, his family is joining us, his hometown community, and welcoming him back to his hometown, where he'll always be part of our community. I'd like to introduce at this time the Most Reverend Jaime Soto, Bishop of the Diocese of Sacramento.
Well, just to start off, could you join me in thanking again the choirs from both St. Polycarp and Modern Day High School for just a wonderful job. And thank God they're singing and not me, so. I do want to start off just with a couple of reminiscing remarks. When I was, I guess, let's see, that would probably been 1986, and I was just coming back from finishing social work school and was assigned as a priest in residence at Our Lady of Guadalupe in the old Hispanic neighborhood of Delhi in Santa Ana. And I remember walking into the sacristy for the first time to celebrate Mass, and there was a small group of the folks there who were going to minister at the Mass, and one of the older men in the group stepped up and he said, "I hear you're from Stanton." This is Delhi, okay, so I hear you're from Stanton. I said, he says, "Yeah." And he turned and looked at the rest. He says, "You be careful with him." And I didn't quite know how to take that at first. And then I said, "Yes, that's right." I remember a story that, in fact, I really don't know how true it is, but it's kind of gotten down as a Catholic legend of Father Monsignor Daniel McLaughlin, who was the first pastor of St. Polycarp and responsible for building the church at the current site where it's at. The old church, maybe some of you will remember that, was in the small little neighborhood of Stanton or Stanton, depending on who you talk to, and it was kind of funny. My father didn't think it was funny, but the old church actually then became a boxing ring for. But in any case, Monsignor McLaughlin was responsible for building the church out in the new site, and the area had there on Chapman and Beach, and the area had been some kind of agricultural land, and that Monsignor McLaughlin, going out there for one of the first times, found a dead mule on the property. And so he called the the proper authorities. I don't know if there were city authorities or county authorities, but called them up and said, that I'm calling. There's a dead mule on the property. Could you have it removed, please? And the person in a smarky manner responded, "Well, Father, I thought you Catholics took care of your own." And so Monsignor McLaughlin is reported to have responded right back, "Well, we always notify the next of kin." There's already been some reference made to some of the agricultural roots of the city of Stanton, and I remember that growing up. The family home is still there in a housing tract on Cerritos and Western, but still around us when we were small children growing up, there were still tomato fields and bean fields and strawberry fields. And at certain points, after the fields had been sufficiently harvested, that they would allow the local residents to go into the fields and kind of glean what was left. And so, my mother would send us out there to kind of glean what was left of the strawberries and, see what we could gather. Unfortunately, it was also coincided when they had finished the tomato season as well. And they would have these piles of rotten tomatoes, stacked up. Now, you have no idea. Well, maybe you can imagine what you send, let's see, I guess maybe we were probably about 5 or 6 at the time, but we were we were 6 boys, 1 girl, but to send all of us out there with all these stacks of tomatoes, it was a recipe for disaster. And we brought back more tomato on our clothes than we did strawberries in the bag. But that was all part of growing up. But I do, Stanton and growing up here in the city of Stanton is an important part of my life, with many memories that, besides whatever wonderful education I got from St. Polycarp and Mater Dei High School and then in the seminary, that all of that, of all the knowledge, gets shaped by and is enfleshed in the experiences that have been part of my growing up here in the city of Stanton. And it's even now as the Bishop of Sacramento, so much of what I reflect on or that I share with folks comes from those years of having grown up. I think perhaps some of you here who have been around for a while will remember driving down Beach Boulevard, and there was the kind of the city slogan, the city of Stanton, crossroad of vacation land. I don't know, is it still there? No, I don't think so. But in any case, growing up, I really believed that. And I thought that Beach Boulevard was the center of the world, and everything was really determined by how far it was from Beach Boulevard. And that was, in a certain sense, how my compass was set. And perhaps in many ways, even now, my moral compass or just how I view what is important in my life is very much set by that sense of seeing what happened here in the city of Stanton as the center. What I'd like to just reflect on with you, and I'll say that I was told I had 30 minutes, and my brothers quickly said, no, you don't. So just a few remarks, a few reflections that I hope will be helpful to you. And but coming out out of this, what I think has been a very turbulent past year, I have found myself reflecting more and more on the virtue of patience. And so this morning I'd like to share some thoughts with you on the importance of patience. Love is patient. This is the first attribute St. Paul mentioned to the Corinthians when he described to this early Christian community the nature of love in the 13th chapter of his first letter to them. And this passage is actually one that my father read frequently and probably had memorized. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. Love is not pompous. It is not inflated. It is not rude. It does not seek its own interests. It is not quick-tempered. It does not brood over injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Patience is not a weakness. It is a strength drawn from that love. And it is helpful to see it from this context that Paul really roots patience in that desire, that deep human desire to love. It is a strength, and it draws its inspiration from hope, a confident hope in the Lord, a sure hope in his coming. Patience as a virtue is hope put into practice. Patience does not let discouragement, difficulties, or obstacles become a distraction from the only valid destiny of the human heart. Speaking about patience in one of his most recent documents, Amoris Laetitia, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, said, "Unless we cultivate patience, we will always find excuses for responding angrily." Patience in this way is what keeps our hope from becoming the cause of anger or resentment. Patience helps hope endure, so that hope encourages others rather than discourage. Hope without patience can betray its own ambitions, its own aspirations, by making us and others bitter. In a previous apostolic exhortation, Pope Francis talked about time being more important than space. This can seem an odd pastoral principle unless we consider the role of patience. Patience gives hope time to grow. Fear or despair causes people to close any space for dialogue or control any room for change. Patience trusts in the power of truth to persuade and to prevail. And by giving time, patience creates the space for comprehension and for conversion. So patience is not resignation, and it is not abdication. Patience believes in that well-known prayer from Alcoholics Anonymous: "Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change those things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." Patience, as a virtue, is also, perhaps even more so now, an ascetic practice, perhaps a good Lenten practice in these days. Patience focuses on what we can do now, not on what we cannot do. Patience also helps us to cultivate a purity of heart. With patience, we keep the heart and the mind focused on cultivating a culture of life and a civilization of love. Father, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Without patience, we can easily be distracted by the obstacles. Our message becomes poisoned by adversarial polemics, demeaning those who demean us. The often evil of a throwaway culture that we oftentimes find ourselves in, that evil threatens our hopes and tempts us to an angry impatience or even to abandon hope. But with patient perseverance, we not only resist the evil, but we can become a reflection, an image, a taste of what is to come, of the kingdom to come. And we give life to the hope of others. Another pastoral principle proposed by the Holy Father that encourages Christian patience is reality is more important than ideas. Our convictions about the gospel of life, the dignity of marriage, the respect for immigrants, these are not just preferential religious tenets or contrived moral teachings. We hold these convictions because they are firmly rooted in reality. We can be patient because reality is greater than ideas. Patience places our feet firmly on the ground of the real world created by God. A good metaphor for patience is the testimony that many of you offer by your lives of prayer, but especially by public prayer. We perhaps live in a world that oftentimes now wants to make prayer a private matter, something that we do apart from the public forum. But that to insist in what even we do now, or that in those occasions where we bring prayer into very difficult circumstances, whether in a hospital or in a jail, or in front of an abortion clinic, or in any other circumstances where we seem to look at where people are suffering or anxiety prevails, that patiently praying in those circumstances and at those places where there can be a culture of death, that prayer is like a vigil prayer offered before the dawn of a new day, offered before the coming of an approaching religious feast. Our prayer is a vigil. As the Psalm 130 sings, I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and I hope for his word. My soul looks for the Lord more than sentinels for daybreak. More than sentinels for daybreak, let Israel hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is mercy. With him is plenteous redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all its sins. In particular, I recognize those who patiently and respectfully wait and pray for those moments of encounter in our daily lives with our family and friends, or even with our enemies, that we wait for those moments of encounter that may plant a seed, change a heart, or save a life. Even when you are ignored, avoided, or rejected, patience will recognize the poverty of our efforts, yet trust that a powerful God will yield from the seed that we plant the fruits of the kingdom in his time. The charitable works, we've heard much of that earlier in this morning, the charitable works of many religious and civic organizations, and of many individuals of all different faiths and walks of life, are another concrete instance when patience is practiced. Women and men come with their worries, their fears, confused, ashamed, or literally scared to death. And through those agencies and programs, you listen and wait. Patient listening is often, more than all the other services that we might provide, is the most valuable response the gift. In many cases, up to the moment when someone walks warily into a charitable organization, no one has listened to them. So those places become oases of mercy and give the time that creates the space for God's mercy to change hearts so that one can change course and walk in the way of life. Patience waits for the moment to speak the word, to take the hand, to wipe the tears, and a smile of grace begins to dawn on a face shadowed by despair. Even in our churches, or perhaps especially in our churches, we must remember those words of St. Paul: love is patient and love is kind. Whether a fellow parishioner or a pastor, patience helps us propose, persuade, and persevere. Patience believes both in the truth of the gospel and in the communion of the church. And we work for the communion of heart and mind, not just for what is right. Patient listening, again, can open all of us to learn and grow into the fullness of both the truth and the communion that Jesus desires for his whole church. The state capitol building, where it's right, the cathedral in Sacramento and the capitol are actually the kind of face each other off there in downtown Sacramento. State capitol building can perhaps sometimes tempt us to despair and disdain the possibility of any sound policy or authentic compassion for the life and dignity of the most vulnerable and innocent among us. And this past year has had its heartbreaks. Our patience is being tested, but not betrayed, because we are waiting for God, and in him we place our trust. While we wait, we must act as good stewards, entrusted with his word until the master returns. So we patiently persevere in good works, and in the good word, sowing the seeds of truth and mercy. Patience believes then in the words of St. Peter in his second letter. What we await are new heavens and a new earth, where according to his promise, the justice of God will reside. So beloved, while waiting for this, make every effort to be found without stain or defilement and at peace in his sight. Consider that our Lord's patience is directed toward salvation. God bless.
For those of you that I've yet to meet, my name is Rigo Ramirez, or Rigoberto Ramirez for some of you. Stanton resident for 21 years, and on city council for the last 6. We all come to these types of events, and I always come in with an open-minded. I park my car, and as I walk up, I think, okay, what am I going to learn today? What is my takeaway? And in speaking with some of you today before the event, and listening to the great words, 2 things jump out at me. Number 1, our kids should be held. They should be nurtured, They should be encouraged to be kids. And as we just heard, we should have patience with them. We as adults should also be held accountable for our actions. There is incredible energy in this room. I encourage everyone to take this energy, go out today, and positively impact those around us, kids, coworkers, families, and friends. I can honestly say that my emotional intelligence is at an all-time high after hearing these words. It is my opportunity and my honor to introduce our next speaker. He will be doing the closing prayer, and shortly thereafter, St. Polycarp will sing God Bless America that will end and conclude our event. Rabbi Stephen Einstein, not only a great friend of Bishop, but also an incredible difference maker in our local community. Could you please help me welcome.
Like so many of you, I was very much looking forward to reconnecting with Jaime Soto today. Though he's been a bishop for many years, so many people in Orange County lovingly and respectfully call him Jaime. When people say Jaime, we all know who we're talking about. And Bishop Soto and I worked together on the Institute for Character Education at the Orange County Office of Education. And it's such a joy to reconnect. And I am moved with the psalmist and all of you to say, this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. My friend, Bishop Van, opened today by noting that we are in a holy season. It is actually a holy season for so many of us. It is the Lenten season. It is also the Passover season. And we are just 2 weeks away from Passover. And I'd like to close our day with a reflection from Scripture that speaks to this season, and it is truly a message for us. We are living in a very difficult and challenging time. So many within our society are hurting and are fearful. Just this last week, I read words that Bishop Soto had spoken in Sacramento, and I reposted them on my Facebook page because he is a man who is passionately concerned about the people, la gente, as are we all. And so, with patience, with hope, and with a faith-filled heart that will move us to action, let me bring this message from God. The 6th chapter of the book of Exodus. And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Eternal. And I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob by the name El Shaddai, God Almighty, but by my truest name, which we call the ineffable name. It is not pronounced. It was pronounced only by the ancient high priest on the Day of Atonement. We know only how to spell this name, Yud, He, Vav, He, but the implication of the name is God is. God is present with us, always, past, present, and future. I hadn't made myself known to them, but now I have established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their sojourning, wherein they have sojourned. And now here's the most important part, not only for us, but for the people out there, the people who are hurting and worried and afraid. I have heard the groaning of the people of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in slavery, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore, say to the people of Israel, I am the Eternal One. I will bring you out from under the burden of the Egyptians. I will rid you from their slavery. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. And I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. And you will know that I, the Eternal, am your God, who bring you out from under the burden of the Egyptians, and I will bring you into the land concerning which I swore to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for a heritage. I am the Eternal. With this assurance, let us all go into the world and bring a true message of freedom to all. Amen.
Thank you, St. Polycarp Choir. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank our speakers. I want to thank our friends, our families, other cities' electeds, our staff, everybody that took the time out of their day to come and to just join for a moment together and reminisce about Stanton and to have a few words from the right type of people. So anyway, thank you very much for coming. Have a wonderful day, and we hope we see you really soon.